Spencer, lights please. Anthony, head in the game. Ladies in the back. Here we go. Time to officially begin going over all the work from the quiz and from yesterday, and so on and so forth. I really want to emphasize to you guys the importance of learning from your mistakes. There's a big difference between if the Regents exam was given to you yesterday, the day before, or today, and the Regents exam that's going to be given to you on June the 13th. If you prepare. And the way you prepare is the book which we talked about. By doing all of these questions, by every single night, when you get something wrong, like when we go over the homework sheet in the quiz, before you start tonight's homework, you go over the ones you got wrong. You find your mistakes and you work on them. If necessary, you watch the videos on YouTube, which once a week I've been loading up onto the website. Whatever you need to do, you make sure that you are reviewing your mistakes. If you don't do that, you will continue to make the mistakes. Now, I don't know how many of you are satisfied with how many you're getting right on your homework and what your, sorry, you had the game, what your quiz grades are and what tomorrow's test grade will be. I don't know how satisfied you are, but I do know that it is unlikely that you are satisfied. And if that's the case, where do we go from here? Well, what you do is you use each of these assignments as a diagnostic tool. If you go to the doctor, and the doctor does all his tests on you, and then he figures out what's wrong, does he say, oh, you have such and such, and then stop? Or does he then prescribe medicine?
He prescribes medicine.
That's right, and your medicine is to go over the question types that you're getting wrong, to pay particular attention to your mistakes. That's what you do. That's why performance is a function of preparation. And if you do that, I have no doubt that 3/4 of the kind of questions that you got wrong on your homework last night or on your quiz today, you will now get right. And your grade will be exceptional. But if you think that you can get them wrong on the assignment and never go back and understand why you got them wrong, reflect on it, straighten it out, learn how to do it right, ask those questions and extra help, you will not improve. So if you're satisfied with your grade on your homeworks, on tomorrow's test, on your quizzes every day, just do your work. If you want better, you need to keep continually asking, what did I get wrong? Why did I get it wrong? In the beginning, that's a lot of work. Because in the beginning, you're getting, my suspicion, you're getting anywhere from 1/4 to half the questions wrong. But as you review them and you get better and better, you don't get 1/4 to half the questions wrong. All of a sudden, you're getting 1/8 to 1/4 of the questions wrong. And then a little after that, you're getting virtually no questions wrong to maybe 10% of the questions wrong. And you have less and less of this review to do each night. So a little work in the beginning makes less work in the end. All right, so here's the quizzes. Now, let's understand in a quiz what we're talking about when we're talking about the correlation coefficient from a point of view of graphing. Doesn't this go down? So that means it has to be a negative correlation coefficient. I noticed some people chose choice 1 or 2. Correlation coefficient, look at me. Correlation coefficient is like slope. If the slope goes down, the correlation coefficient is negative. And if the slope would go up, the correlation coefficient is positive. Now, the only way to have a correlation coefficient of a perfect 1.0 or negative 1.0 is if all of the dots are on a perfect straight line. Now, these are not on a perfect straight line, so the only possible answer is negative 0.93. Any questions? All right, next one up. A couple of different ways to do this. You could reason it that you don't need to include the first row, so you're going to do the number of rows minus 1. Ladies, you don't need to include the first row, so it's number of rows minus 1. And then each new row gets 4. And then don't forget the 35 you started with. So that's one way to do it. But even if I did it that way and I felt confident in my answer, I would test it. So I'm going to test for the third row. The third row, if I had 35, add 4 is 39, add 4 is 43. Now, if I plug in a 3 into this formula, do I get 43? 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, 35 plus 8 is 43. Yes. Choice 4. is the correct answer. Okay? All right. Now let's go to number 3. The geometric ratio, or the common ratio in this geometric sequence. You always do the number divided by the number before it, not the other way around. So it's 4 divided by -2, -8 divided by 4, 16 divided by -8, and in each case you get -2. So the correct answer is choice 3. Okay? I think just about everybody got that right. 1 or 2 kids got it wrong, but just about everybody got it right. Now, last one. You guys hate these recursive sequences. The first term is 3. Now,
the first A would be 3. So what you would do is that you would do 2 times 3 minus 1. And
that's right. Slow down. You step ahead of me. Anthony, you're a step ahead. I know you know, and if you're explaining it to me, I can follow, but we got a whole classroom full of kids who got this wrong. So we got to go a little slower here. And what Anthony's saying is this. Look, A sub 1, the first term is 3. Then it says, to get the new term, A sub k plus 1 or whatever they wrote there, is 2 times the previous term minus 1. So look, if the first term is 3, to get the second term, it's 2 times 3 is 6, but minus the 1,
5,
which is 5. Now to get the third term, I got to do 2 times the previous term, which was 5 minus 1, 9. I get that right, Anth? All right. So those are the correct answers. Any questions? Okay. Let's get out last night's homework and go through what I thought some of these were very easy, and I thought some of them were very hard.
Yep.
So let's learn from our mistakes. Let's make sure we're writing this in our separate notebooks. Make sure we're getting this all done. Who would like a free 100 test grade?
Me.
Me, of course.
You show me a notebook next week. Just bring it in with questions you've gotten wrong and how you've worked on it. I'll give you a free 100 test grade.
Let's go.
I'm pretty good. As a test.
With the work you've been doing. So you show me that notebook, I will give you a free 100 test grade. In fact, you know what? I will give you 2 100 test grades. And I will check again later, and when I check again later, I will drop your 3 worst quiz grades.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of your 1 worst quiz grade.
Thank God. I didn't know.
Yes.
Is there like a certain amount of questions you would like to see?
Yeah.
I want to see an amount comparable to how I know you're doing. So, for example, if you are rocking your quizzes with hundreds and you get a really high grade on tomorrow's test, I don't need to see that many questions in the review book. But if I'm looking at your quizzes and you're getting 25s and 50s and you get a 68 on your test, I'm going to want to see a lot of work in that book. So it's totally dependent upon this. So here is the deal. Hold it. Hey. Quiet. Here's the deal. Show me the notebook the first time. First 100. A little bit later on, I'm going to do it again. Second 100. Test grade, not quizzes. And if you get all of that done, both of those parts, I will drop your 3 lowest quiz grades. And if, God forbid, you should need to catch up because you haven't been doing a notebook, not that anybody in here would do that. If you're one of those people who might have been doing that, you have Memorial Day weekend to catch up. Yes?
Yeah. And you're serious right now, right?
I am 100,000% serious.
Can I get this in writing?
Listen, if my word's not good enough for you, you don't know my word.
Well, yeah, but like Mr. Duran also said, like
I'm not Mr. Duran.
You're not gonna pull Mr. Duran.
I am not going to pull a Mr. Duran.
Yeah, and he told us that there was gonna be a hurricane, and then he made us shoot a video.
Yeah, and he told us he had a friend in News 12.
All right, listen. I will live up to my word. You will get the grades. Heck yeah. Okay. Now, take a look at these answers. Tell me if I need to go over anything. Yes.
I don't remember what the mode is.
Most popular. Listen, watch my lips. Ready? Mode most. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we go to the next page. Oh, by the way, this word is not casual here. Is this the one with casual? Yeah. Yeah, I worked with some kids last night at the library. Spencer this morning. Didn't you say casual this morning?
Yeah, John
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So causal would be the word. One causes the other.
Oh. I was like, wait,
what does casual mean?
Can't read.
Yes.
Okay, what if I'm not gonna be here next week, so when can I show you my notebook?
You're not gonna be here the whole week?
Yeah.
That's a bad week to go on
I
vacation.
know.
But why?
It's her parents' decision, it's not hers.
No, but why is he going on vacation?
Whatever the parents say. Sometimes when parents do this, it's because they can't get any other time off from work.
Yep.
It's just a really, really bad timing.
Why wouldn't you?
So, you will have to show it the day you return.
Okay.
And then, I hope you're going where there's Wi-Fi.
I don't think there is, because I'm going on a cruise.
There's no Wi-Fi on the
Oh.
ship.
Hashtag cruise the cruise.
All right,
Probably is.
ready? Shh. All right, keep going. Can I go forward? All right, I need to see hands if I can.
Yeah.
I put the numbers underneath the corresponding parts here in case you're confused as to what I did. Right, this very simple calculator problem, yeah?
Okay, so for the number line, are we gonna have a question like this on the Regents?
I would bank on it.
Okay.
Now, do I know that? No, but I know it's really easy. And when they're on there, they're often worth 4 points. So to me, when you look at the kind of questions they give you for 4 points, and they give you this one, this is a home run, as easy as it gets on the entire test. So you should be, I know student, we're not supposed to preach in school, we're not supposed to get religious in school. Well, I'll tell you, there are 2 times where kids will get religious in a heartbeat. The first one is with a pending snowstorm. They get down and they pray for snow. And the second one is what's going to be on your Regents exam. And you should be praying that this question gets on your Regents exam. Now, I don't care if you pray to some unknown entity, but you turn around and say, please put a box and whisker plot on the Regents. Please, because it's so easy.
I love Jesus.
The whole Regents box and whisker plots. There you go. And nice hard equations like 2x plus 1 equals 7, right?
Ryan loves Jesus.
All right, there you go. Amen. Here we go. Can I get a witness? Here we go. Ready?
Okay, I know, like, that I got this one, like, number 3. I know that I got it right because I did it in the calculator, but that's the only reason I got it right. Like, I
Okay.
don't understand why.
Yeah, that's, first off, that's a good way to do it. It just takes a long time. But the easier way to do it is to reason it out. There are a total of, I think, 20 scores here or whatever. The median will be between the 10th and the 11th score. They're both 1.4, both the 10th and the 11th. So the average or middle of 1.4 and 1.4 is 1.4. Now, if I add another term at the end, it's going to slide the median 1 place to the right. Agree? Which is still 1.4.
That
Now,
makes sense.
almost always it will increase. But because of that tricky little double 1.4s, only the mean is going to increase. Okay, yes?
What does it say?
Anthony?
Oh no, it's just stretching.
Oh, okay. Yes?
What does it say after median where you wrote something?
If one is added, the median moves 1 place right. We've done this one a number of times that it's 3 only. Okay. Those 2 down there. Two questions here that I would consider to be pretty challenging. The multiple choice at the end of your test are some of the toughest questions on the test. And if you notice, the original numbers were, I think, what does they say, 27 and 24?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so those are the last 4 questions on the test, and they're going to be challenging. Now, when it says here perfect square trinomial, that means complete and square, or complete the square. So I got a half and square. What's half of a quarter? An eighth. And then I square it, and I get 1/64. Yes?
I thought it was already like half.
Yeah, no, it wasn't halved yet, because it says will make a perfect square trinomial.
Oh, I should probably know.
Okay? All right, and as far as this last one goes, it wants to know what's the nature of the roots, what are they like? And as soon as they start talking about real, rational, equal, imaginary, blah, 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 I start thinking quadratic formula. Because what I'm really interested in is what we call the discriminant, this radical part here. In this case, it works out to be 169. The square root of 169 is a perfect 13. So that makes the answers real. Imaginary would only be if it was the square root of a...
Irrational.
No. What makes a number imaginary? Square root of a?
Negative.
Negative. Very good. It's not negative, so it's not imaginary. They're only equal if this works out to be 0. It didn't work out to be 0, because then you'd have plus and minus 0. And it's irrational if I cannot figure out the square root. Like square root of 170 would be irrational. Square root of 5 would be irrational. But if you can figure it out, it's rational. So therefore, it's choice 3. Okay? All right, now we're up to scan 5. Here's your correct answers. Take a look, see if there's any I can go over with you. Again, I tried to show work along the way to give you quick explanations. And when you're working on your notebooks to get your 2 free 100 test grades, I want you to keep in mind that these videos are all online. So if, God forbid, there's a question you forgot how to do when you're filling out your notebook, you just go to the proper video and watch the explanation or the answer. Yes?
For the notebook, what do you have to do? You just like...
Write the question that you got wrong. I don't even care if you like photocopy it or whatever. And then write what you did wrong. And just work it from there. You don't have to put more questions like that. I just want you to review the things you got wrong. But it's very important in there that somewhere it says what you did wrong and then, you know, the correct solution. All right? It's really, really, really important that you understand where your mistakes are and that you learn from them. Spencer?
For number 1, like in question 8, for the answer number 1, couldn't that also be a possibility since like...
No, because those roots would be equal. When you factor it, you're going to
right,
get x plus 5, and both roots are negative 5. Yes?
What happens if you just didn't understand how to do it, or what the question was asking?
Well, then what I would hope the way you would handle that is that you would have that in your book, and then you would come into extra help. And then you would address whatever it is specifically that's there. One of the greatest advantages of this notebook is it gives you a very strong sense of direction. What do you need to do to get better? We have a 7th grader on our softball team, Emily Hart. She has a chance to be a very special player. Very special. But she has to learn how to throw a changeup. Her fastball's great. But against good teams, the second, third time through the order, they're going to hit it. If she learns to throw a changeup, it'll make her fastball faster because they'll be looking for the changeup so it gets on you faster. And you'll have an alternative pitch that can get a really good hitter out. But so far, she's resisting that a little bit. Because it's not her best pitch. And she will have to take a step back in order to take 10 steps forward. And she knows she's very good, and she doesn't want to get beat on her second pitch. But it's time for her to learn from her mistakes. If she does that, she's going to become amazing. And the same exact, she's already good. She'll become truly amazing. And the same exact thing applies to you guys. You're already good. I'm not interested in good. I'm interested in amazing. And what you need to do to become amazing, to get everything out of yourself, is you have to admit that you're not perfect. You have to know that you're going to make mistakes. And then you simply need to work at learning from those mistakes. That's really all you need to do. Anything else is all wrong. All right? All you need to do is just work trying to do things the right way. And for what it's worth, I was going to use the C word there, not the other nasty word. So to speak. All right. This was a very interesting question. Oh, here's 2 good ones here, by the way. The biggest domain you can have, I'm not allowed to have a 0 in the denominator. That would be undefined. And I am not allowed to be less than 0. So I had to take 2 minus x and make it greater than 0. Not equal 0, because then I would get undefined. And I just solved the inequality. X is less than 2. So there's my answer. And as far as this one down here goes, I started with 22 by 14. I add the same amount on both sides. So I get x plus 22 times x plus 14 is 800. And I solve it all out. And when I do that, using the quadratic formula, because I knew it wouldn't be factorable, I get 10.6. But it says here it has to be within the building code, so it can't get bigger than that. So the number closest integer number to 10.6 but not bigger is 10. So I did 22 plus 10, 14 plus 10, I'm sorry, is 24, and 22 plus 10 is 32. And those are my answers. Now that's exactly the kind of question that I think many of you got wrong, and I think you should be homeworking it again tonight in that notebook. You do that, you'll learn, you'll get better. You don't, you will be no better at this on the day of the Regents than you are today, which means you will get beat up on the question. All right. I gotta go a little quickly here, so I'm not gonna say much unless you bring it up. Number 14 is kind of trial and error. Lena, you with me here? Okay, next one. Just one algebraic solution. Again, try not to copy all of this stuff down. You can play the video and copy it down later. The question is what to mark down. We've done this one before. Don't forget to show the table. This is a vertical shift 2 down, 4 to the right. This one we did earlier in the year in quizzes. Just remember, this is in the grouping symbol, so it's a horizontal shift 2 to the right. Vertical shift there. Spencer, look what I wrote.
I thought I saw my name and I got it.
That's exactly right.
I got it right this time.
All right, attaboy.
Yes,
That middle one, I think it's 18,000. We've done it so many times.
Which is, wait, I thought,
Okay.
yeah,
I think it's,
Very important here. You're not allowed to equal 1. You have to be less than and greater than only. You can't be allowed to equal it. Little challenging there on number 25. All right, I'll just put this up here. You can watch the video tonight. Remind me, I'll do this on the graphing calculator for you tomorrow. It's very easy on the graphing calculator.